Howdy again, folks. We're looking at Edge Magazine number 4, part 2. So this is January 1994, and Samurai Shodown had just been released. We're now looking at the next review. Dracula X, Devil's Castle. One of the most well-known games for the PC Engine CD-ROM. And it gets an 8. And for those of you not familiar with this game, I believe it's called Vampire's Kiss in some versions, but there's also the Super Nintendo version. So I always get those two confused when it comes to their names, because they're both called Dracula X. This is the better one. This is the one which has multiple ways of going through the game, multiple characters. It's a lot like Symphony of the Night. Or at least it's somewhere between most Castlevania games and Symphony of the Night. It's not quite like Simon's Quest in its open-endedness, but it's a lot more like a role-playing game. Symphony of the Night took that to the next degree, and well, we all know how great that game is. So it gets an 8. PC Gamer. Here's Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, which mostly consider to be less good than the Mega Drive or Genesis version, and I agree with them, which mostly has to do with the game's length. On the other hand, I think this game has slightly better gameplay. You don't have a sword, but you have apples to throw, which is interesting. There's more jumping action. The problem with this version of Aladdin is that it's really short and easy. I mean, I beat this game in an hour or so the first try. I remember that as a kid. So it feels like you're getting more of your money's worth for the Genesis version. On the other hand, all the levels in this game are good, whereas the Genesis version, the last couple levels aren't that good. So maybe they're just as good as each other. Nah, they're not. The Aladdin for the Genesis, it's fantastic. It has all the right music. Fantastic animation, but I think this one's a bit underrated. It only gets a 6, but if you can get your hand on this game for cheap, check it out. You'll have a great hour or two of fun. For the Mega CD, we have Joe Montana's NFL Football. I've never played this one, but it looks like a rather lackluster football game with annoying FMV. Now, Kether was a French game described in the previous Edge magazine and for the CDI, and you shoot around on pre-rendered backdrops. So, gets a 6. I guess one of the better CDI games, but yeah, whatever. Very, very typical for this time. This is the kind of game that Edge magazine liked looking into because it looked pretty and it used CD-ROMs. So, more advertisements now. IndyCar Racing gets an 8, and it looks fantastic. Even though it's polygons, heavy polygons, it still looks really nice. So, it's not virtual racing, but it's apparently really realistic. IndyCar, if you're into that thing. Might be interesting if you're interested in the history of racing games. So, Future Publishing has all kinds of magazines. And we see the Amiga magazine and the Amiga of Power. So, they have 2 Amiga magazines. Can you believe that? Or Amiga. Okay, so this fellow, John Waldron, never heard of him before. Apparently, he knows a lot about virtual reality. And he has this station where you sit in, so you get totally immersed. Or surrounded, I should say. And here we have somebody with a virtual reality headset walking around. So apparently, I read the interview. It was pretty boring, but he works a lot with Sega, and apparently at the time Sega had interest in virtual reality, but that never came to fruition. Rare. Little did we know that they would become so big in the late 90s. So yeah, recruitment in Edge magazine. This will keep growing. We have Iguana, another British company. We have Sega, Microprose. I would want to have one of these binders, but I do have issue number 5. And the letters. I read them, I thought they were really boring. Questions about which console should I get? What do you think of the future of the Jaguar? What about polygons and frame rates? What's up with CDI and playing movies? Yeah, typical questions for the time, I guess. And so yeah, more dull questions. And questions and answers was mostly about frame rates, 50 hertz, 60 hertz, which is the PAL and NTSC difference. And what does MPEG do? So how does a Jaguar work? That was a pretty good question. What's up with all these different buses and chips in the Jaguar? So that's pretty cool. And we're nearing the end. Yes, so next month we will have the Jaguar. Watch out for that. Wow. And we have another black page with Edge ingrained into it. Sorry for the flare. So yeah, you see this is released still in 1993. So February 2004 will be about what people found out in December 1993. And that's it for issue 4. So thanks for watching. And folks, I'll see you next time in the future.